Tip number one, what's going to progress you the most following the Hyperlink Charter? I know there's a ton of you guys coming in fresh and you're like, Zox, what exactly do I need to be farming? Well, the Hyperlink Charter is going to be one of your easy go-tos for directing you into everything that you need to make sure you're doing. Now, the thing about the Hyperlink Charter is this is going to be your guide throughout the entire game. And it's going to be giving you rough ideas on what exactly is going to be efficient for you to be doing at that given point. And as you follow these things, it's going to be giving you summons, it's going to be giving you Etheria coin, it's going to be giving you training data for your shell companions, XP. There's so much that comes from this, even shadow prints, which is going to help you with raising the star rarity values of your character. So if you're not following this, you are literally doing yourself a disservice. And this is the number one thing I always tell players to check, because more than likely, if you're stuck, it's because you're not following this. This also goes hand in hand with the achievements, because every time you clear something for the first time or you accomplish something for the first time, you should gain an achievement for it. And the achievements have a ton of things, from Etheria coin to Animus prototypes to the GP outpost anima imprints, right? And even down to Hydra crystals. These are all things that are going to help you with either refilling stamina, summoning more, or being able to further invest in your account. So if you're not doing these things, the constant goal is to always make sure you're trying to do something new first time clearing something, because that's going to net you more rewards. All right. So with that being the case, what's tip number two? I think tip number two is going to be really important at the point of which, when you're starting to consider, even if you want to be a min maxer before account level 40, or even pushing up until the point and then factoring this in after account level 40. Now, why is account level 40 important? Is because that's where you get a vast bulk of the content in the game unlocked. And one of the resources you're going to be utilizing is going to be the mental stabilizer. So let's actually go to our inventory real quick so you can see that. Now, the mental stabilizer is going to give you 100 stability back, which is 100 stamina, right? Now, the thing about this is that you can technically use this to push your account quicker to level 40, which at that point I would say is up entirely on how fast you want to progress. But my biggest piece of advice with this would actually be to really focus on the Hydra crystal refills, which you get 10 a day. You will do this up until the point of hitting level 40. Now, you're saving the mental stabilizers because you're going to have events that are going to be coming up, like the Blessing Galore. This is something that even if you end up deciding to start saving after you hit level 40 on your mental stabilizers, this is really important to factor in, because you're going to have 2 times drop events that are going to be happening. Now, this is going to be ranging from Animus EXP to the prowess material for your skill up investment, and as well as the threshold module drop. And this is going to be the opportune time for you to isolate a day or days where you're target focusing or target farming a specific thing. Now, when we get into the official launch, we should have a few days before these events actually go live. But once these events go live, that's definitely something that's worth considering. It's probably maybe closer to after the first week, we might have some of these events up. So I definitely would say preemptively, if you want, start saving some of those mental stabilizers so that you have the stamina on hand to get double the value. I promise you, you will not regret it. All right. So another tip that's going to absolutely help you with progression, and this is a resource you want to get very, very, very familiar with. And it's the Evolution Latice and also the Perfect Latice. You want to make sure that you are isolating and picking skills that are going to help you with a unit that's going to give you multiple things, or multi-value. That's going to be basically helping you in multiple areas of the game. Now, why is that? Okay, so Evolution Latice is going to be for your SR rarity units. And when we're talking about SR rarity units, you're going to obviously have way more Evolution Latice in comparison to the Perfect Latice, which is for the SSRs. But the biggest thing is that with, like, say, for example, Marvel, this is a easy go-to unit that that you can use in PvE, PvP, and investing in the skill 3 is going to be massive. It reduces the cooldowns. You're getting that 100% chance of inflicting speed and resistance down, which is a big part of this character's kit. Even throwing some skill up investment into the skill 1 so that you can get that 25% turn meter from the target when you steal it at the 50% chance. And this is something that is going to be massive to master. And I would say wholeheartedly, if you are not sure on what skill to invest in first, ask someone, please. We have the official Discord. You can join my Discord, because you don't want to make the mistake, especially too early, full send investing in a node, which, mind you, each of these major nodes here that has a level on it requires a Latice. So you don't want to invest too much of that resource and skills that you don't necessarily need to, because in the beginning, you're really trying to get and milk the most value, especially if you're free to play. Even if you're spending, you still want to milk the most value so that you can get the most return out of the character's investment. And this is the same thing that will apply to the SSRs, but I would actually say that one of the biggest progression pushers is just kind of being aware that you do need to throw some into Leon first. So let's actually pull up this character for those of you guys that are watching for the first time. Leon is going to need some perfect Latices, and I think it should be up to about level 4 for her that you're going to need that. So just kind of keep that mental thought, in the back of your brain. And then after that, if you decide to reset her, you can. Wouldn't recommend it, but hey, you're absolutely free to do so. And then you could take those Latices and throw them into another unit of your choice that ultimately would maybe be replacing her or being used in something else, right? So it is going to be very, very important for you to be very, very particular on how you use those, because otherwise that will hurt your overall investment. And if you invest too much into a character, I would say it even slows some of your progression. Now, with tip number 3, this is really important because this is all about shell investment. Now, you don't want to make the mistake of investing in shells too early, but you also don't want to make the mistake of not investing in shells at all. Now, the thing is that when you get to the point of saying, investing in epic shells, the biggest thing that you have to remember is as you're working up, you want to build up some of the shells for some of your more important units, especially the ones that need speed, because this is going to be giving you more base speed, right? Now, outside of the ability itself, I think that that's a really important takeaway, because a lot of players are going to realize that they're a lot slower than a lot of other people, and it's because they don't have shell investment. And the shell investment, again, does not mean that you go and you build every single shell on every single character that you're investing in, but you might go, a little bit further on your embrittled science on the character that's helping rotate or opening your team for PvP, right? So that can make or break whether or not you win something. So this is ultimately going to be a decision that needs to be made. And of course, still considering min-maxing, which is again, something you want to factor in for your overall progression. The nice thing is that when you're starting to work on epics, when you even get to the epics that can start having the third line for you to have 3 matrix bonus slots available to you, you can basically fuse these into one another so that whatever investment you put into the shell, it will transfer over to the new shell with the matrices that you want for the gear set bonuses that you want, right? So this is going to be super, super important, making sure that at the point at which where you can farm epics and you can also have access to mythics, don't shift too fast into mythics to where you don't build up a solid foundation. I think that that's another thing. I guess that could be tip number 4, is not shifting so fast that you don't actually build a solid foundation. Because one of the things that a lot of players will also run into based off of the decisions that they may make on their account in terms of choices or unit picks, and even maybe what the game might give them if they're just kind of going in on the first account, is they don't actually farm enough, right? And so again, I still think that, shells are going to be pretty important, especially for giving your characters those base stats that they really need. But if you're lacking in your gear department, you need to actually take some time and invest in farming some of those values, right? And I think that this is another thing that kind of coincides to the progression, is making sure that you're farming the most optimal stage, right? Because if we're looking at these stages, which I've mentioned this in videos before, but if you look at, like, say, for example, normal 3, you're only really focused on farming one of the rarities, right? You only have the purple rarity here. If you go to hard 1, for example, you'll see that you have the epic rarity, you have the unique, which is going to be diluting your pool on your drops. But when you get to hard 3, it's only epics, right? Same thing when you go into nightmare 1, it is going to have outstanding and it's also going to have epic, right? But when you get into nightmare 3, it's going to have only outstanding. So it is actually giving you a more optimal chance of getting the higher rarity, which comes with higher base stats. Again, that's something that is going to be huge to that that power spike that you're looking for stat-wise on your characters in conjunction with your shells. So granted, not everybody's going to necessarily be jumping right up into Hell 3, Hell 4 right away, right? But this is something that when you're even thinking about how you want to be farming in this game, is definitely going to be whatever the higher stage is. Typically though, for gear, it's going to be the stage that completely knocks out that other rarity. That's going to be the more optimal stage. But of course, for where you're at, you farm what you can with what you got, right? Now, I definitely will say to answer the question for XP and prowess material, it's whatever the highest stage is. There isn't a stage that's more optimal to do. Everything costs the same stamina. So this goes into tip number 5. For progression purposes, always make sure you're going up a stage, right? And this is something that's important because a lot of players will look at this and say, oh, well, you know, is 23 more efficient to do than 25? No, 25 is the most efficient because it still costs you the 10 stamina, right? So this is something that you have to remember in this game. Everything's a 1-to-1. So if you spend 1 stamina, you get 1 EXP. So that's the thing. None of the stages jump like astronomically to where now you're spending 30 stamina on stage 25, right? So you always want to make sure on these types of dungeons you're going up. They're really easy, not that hard, but definitely will save you a ton, and you'll get more return. And you know, at the end of the day, when you're looking at things from that perspective. Now, I would definitely say for one of the very last tips that I feel like is going to be really, really important is making sure that you're actually participating in arena. Okay. Now, I know there's some players that like absolutely hate arena and they're like, oh, dude, I don't want to do PvP. But I'm telling you guys, at most, you need to participate. And here's why, right? So we actually go over here to the rewards, not only for the challenge times. It's not like according to winning, it's according to challenge. Challenges are going to grant you the Arena Start emblem. And what you can buy with the Arena Start emblem is going to be, again, the things that you need: Perfect Latice, Evolution Latice, Shadow Prints. You can also get Animus prototypes, Etheria coin, training data. And I would also say, even going into the release, I'll probably have another video fixating on this a little bit more, but you know, this is going to give you access to resources that are going to help you with your overall progression. So not doing it, you're just locking yourself out of resources that you kind of want, and all they require is participation. They don't require you to be on top, you know, of the arena leaderboard. Like, it just requires participation. The other thing is too, guys, is that every time you go up in rank for the first time, for that season, you actually get rewarded for it, right? Again, that's huge. The other thing is too, based off of your rank, you get rewarded for it: Hydra crystals and the Arena Start emblem. So you don't want to miss out on these. I would even say that doing Classic Arena, even over RTA, which RTA does have its own shop as well, but the RTA shop is definitely a little less invasive in terms of like the value, because the value like here is like, that's a straight up Latice, right? Granted, you can get shards, which I definitely would say you don't want to miss, but the biggest thing here is definitely going to be like Apex prototype, Anima prototype. These are summons, which, I mean, can you go without these? Technically, yeah, but would you want to? I wouldn't think you would. I would say you would want every bit of summon or orange print for investment in your characters as you possibly can get. So these are things that I just feel like, again, a lot of players are playing this game and they're going to want more emphasis on the PvE, which, yes, PvE is a very important aspect of this game, but PvE funnels and fuels PvP. And this is through and through going to be at endgame a PvP game. So I would wholeheartedly say, if you really want to get the most out of the game and you're thinking long term, which is the goal here, you want to make sure you're doing these things. Okay, so that's basically going to be that. Again, I hope that answers some of the questions that you guys may have had. Again, the whole purpose of this video is for those of you guys, while I'm streaming, I'm going to really be trying to hardcore push. So I don't want to be rude or anything like that and give a half answer. I just want to have this dedicated video. I might direct some of you guys to it, where it literally will direct you in everything that you really just need to kind of keep in mind. If you have any additional questions, don't be afraid to come to the streams and ask, guys. But that's going to be that, guys. Everyone, stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.